So another interesting story, midrash, is about the three counselors of the Pharaoh. And this ties in the story of Job. So people are like, why did God do all this terrible stuff to Job? He was a good dude. What a jerk. That's a terrible thing to do to this poor guy. But there's actually a reason in the oral tradition of why. So it says that when the Pharaoh, Paro, was deciding to kill all the firstborn of the firstborn Hebrew-ish, Israelite-ish people that were in Goshen, right? Precursor Jews, that the Pharaoh had three wise men counselors, and they were Balaam, which we talked about actually in some of the other stories, and we'll get more into him and the talking donkey and that crazy story and about the donkey's jawbone and all kinds of crazy stuff with that. There's a bunch of tie-ins. But it was Balaam, Job, and Yithro, and who was turned out to be Moses' father-in-law down the road. And when he asked, he said, I'm thinking maybe we should just kill all their firstborn. That'll teach them, that'll slow down their reproduction, whatever. Balaam, being the wicked man he was like, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do this. I want to do this. And Job remained silent. He just didn't say anything. He just sat there. And Yisro was horrified. Jethro was horrified, and he bounced. He's like, I'm out. I'm going back to my people. It's too much for me. And he was rewarded down the road. In fact, in Israel, there's a lot of guys. They're Druze and Druzim. And I lived by one, actually, when I lived on a kibbutz for a while. Super cool, super secretive about all their initiation rites, or like of the adults. They have like their own kind of bar mitzvahs or confirmations as they get older. But super cool guys. Everyone I've ever met of them, super nice guys. But they're descended from Yisro. Like they're descended from Jethro, who was a Midianite, but he kind of broke off from the Midianites later. The Midianites went on kind of a villainous path, but his people broke off, his descendants, and they're now the Druze. And he was also the father-in-law of Moses, Moshe Rabbeinu, right? Moses, our teacher, and as well as the father of his wife, Zipporah. And so he was the only one that was blessed because he ran away. But Job wasn't exactly innocent, because he knew it was wrong, but he just remained silent. And so that's actually the reason why he was tested and like allowed to. He had a good heart, but all that hardship happened. I don't know if it justifies all the like suffering he went through, but he allowed a lot of suffering. So I guess like karma, right? Measure for measure. We did talk about that too, of like karma. Everything comes eye for eye, tooth for tooth was more like karma. It's measure for measure. It's not literal, not to be taken literal, but it is this concept that like what you do comes back to you. And so just an interesting story. I think it's good. I wish and bless everyone with good decision making and standing up for things we know to be wrong in this world. When we see evil, never be silent. Always say something. Stand up. Rise against it in love. Don't, we can fight when we have to fight. If something attacks us, we can fight back. But try to address everything in love. But stand up to what you think is wicked. And I think some people are willing to do that, but a lot of them do it in anger and hatred, and that's kind of becoming what we despise. So we have to be careful of that. But Job had a chance to say, no, this is wrong. And it would have been 2 against 1, and maybe Paro wouldn't have done that. Pharaoh wouldn't have done it. But one stayed silent, one said, no, this is wrong, and left, and one ended up agreeing with it. And so Paro did what he did. And maybe it all had to be prophecy, who knows about all that stuff. But I always thought it's an interesting story, and something ties into this concept of standing up against evil too, right? It's not that good men, what's the quote? That it's not that it's evil men that destroy the world, but it's when good men fail to stand up or remain silent that is like the real great tragedy. And that's what really destroys the world. And so you have to stand up. You got to fight for what you believe in with love. And I wish everybody that strength and to stand up and fight for what's right in this world in a loving, kind, and change-invoking way. Anyway, let's do this, people. Save the humans.
Trying to be a better man. Oh yeah. Trying to do the best I can. Oh yeah. And I'm gonna do right thing. Do right thing. No matter what they want to say. And I'm gonna still fight for you. Still fight for you.